What is going on, YouTube? Cold Case Project back again, and we are over 1,000 subscribers. So, definitely wanted to throw out a huge thank you to everyone who helped make this possible and commented on my videos, liked my videos. Definitely means a ton to me. And like I said, I am not a large group of people. I am one person putting together a ton of content that hits home, and definitely just wanted to say thank you. Um, have a few other projects I do want to work on, but now that we've kind of hit this little milestone, I want to talk about this case. This is the case of a man by the name of Paul Runge. By the way, please like my content. If you want to subscribe, get more of this content. I try to put something out as often as I possibly can. So please throw a subscribe, throw a like. You want to throw something up in a forum you see, do that too. I do that for this reason, so you can get good quality stuff that you're not seeing all the damn time. And I just want to share it with you. So, getting started here, I got asked by a couple people, what kind of got you into this whole realm of cold cases and criminal investigations. And in 1985, I do plan on doing a video around this. In 1985, my aunt, who I wasn't really close with, we'd only met like a time or two. She lived maybe I'd say like 25 minutes away from me. She had actually been sexually assaulted and murdered. Very, very vicious crime. One of the men who killed her, the man who killed her, was a lifelong criminal by the name of Daryl Sims. He was in and out of jail essentially all of his life. He played a bunch of different games to try to get out of going to jail, but he was sentenced to death. That death sentence, by the way, got brought down to a life sentence in the early 2000s when our then governor Ryan in Illinois said he couldn't face the thought of sentencing some of these people who, even though they were guilty criminals, couldn't imagine sentencing them to the death penalty. Which, listen, if someone is by all means completely innocent, I understand. When that person has blood on their hands, when that person is involved with these crimes, I can't put my heart out there to even try to have any form of sympathy for somebody who committed these types of crimes. Now, the woman you see before you is a woman by the name of Stacy Frobel. Now, for those of you who don't know, my mother was a long-time employee of one of the local police departments. And I remember her coming home one day talking about a girl who was kind of well known in the bar scene, and she had gone missing. She lived in a city called Hanover Park, which was the department my mother worked for and my stepdad. And this said, they launched a huge investigation. They were trying to figure out, could her husband, who was a butcher, have had anything to do with her going missing? More time had gone by, and they interviewed her husband. They interviewed some of the men that she was cheating on her husband with. And lo and behold, a city known as Antioch, which is right on the Illinois-Wisconsin border, a dog went out one day and found the head of Stacy Frobel. And this definitely kind of took the case on another world level, because here you go from thinking, all right, is this just a missing person, to now realizing, all right, this is a murder investigation. Obviously, the husband was interviewed, and they talked to him, and he professed his innocence over and over again, saying that there's no way, this was him. And that said, a number of people in the Chicagoan suburbs around this time were starting to go missing. Now, the two ladies you see in front of you right here are Amila and Zanetta Pasanbegovic. Now, both of these ladies you see right here immigrated to America from Bosnia. All right. They'd been in America for about 6 months. They escaped a war ridden country where, quite frankly, it was just a battle zone over there. I mean, they were in fear for their lives. They had a family member who lived in Hanover Park, and they decided to immigrate from Bosnia to Hanover Park, Illinois, in early 1995. They worked some small side jobs. They worked in some factories in the cities of both of my old city, Streamwood, and Hanover Park, and they just made a basic living. They did that. They did some maid services as well too, for some extra cash. And that brings us to July the 11th of 1995. That day, they had got a gig to do a house cleaning for an unidentified man. They were picked up by a woman, and they never returned home. Never returned home. My stepdad was actually one of the officers who was on this case. He actually had to interview the family members who were just, grief stricken. They were, wondering what happened to their loved ones. And they talked to them, got as much evidence as they possibly could, and there was really nothing connecting these cases. And the other thing, like I said, I was growing up at this time. This was, I want to say, about 1995. Let's take a quick look. Yeah, July the 11th, 1995 is when both these girls went missing. So I remember that summer, walking to, if you're around my age, you'd remember there was, not only did we have our Walmart and our Sam's Club, but we also had a Venture store too over here in the Midwest. And I remember seeing these girls missing poster posted up on there, and they were looking all around, and a couple of clues started to come in. And some of these clues brought investigators to a man by the name of Paul Runge. I do have a computerized video where we talk a little bit about Paul Runge, a little bit more about some of his victims, but I did want to just kind of do this video to just shed some light and give my own personal recollection of this case, what happened, and just the impact of the case in general. Paul Runge was actually working as a shoe salesman at Stratford Mall, which was a little mall in Bloomingdale, Illinois at the time. He lived with his wife in Glendale Heights, Illinois. And from the moment police started checking on him, he knew right away there was not one bone of remorse in this man's body. He he even would, just in the middle of them sending people in there to try to, ask him, do you just having basic conversation, he would essentially just be like, "You're a cop. I'm done talking," and that would be it. And he would get away with that. Now, Runge, who at the time, who at the time of this, I want to say would have been in his mid 20s. Runge had already had quite the rap sheet. He had done a little bit of time in his teens for sexual assaults. He, believe, if I'm not mistaken, he bound a girl and raped her multiple times. She, fortunately, though, was lucky enough to get out and escape him, and was able to get out of there. He did some time and essentially kind of just went off the radar. But like I said, in this time that he went off the radar, he just kind of developed random MOs for his abilities to contact victims and, you know, just come off as just a regular guy and bring, you know, poor women into his inner circle. And there were a couple other instances when he liked using the cleaning women as especially if they were foreign, may have been working more independently. Kind of figured these women would have less people to miss them had they gone missing. You know, had this person gone, he pretty much figured this would be a way for him to get out of some of these cases, being that like I said, multiple of his victims were women who weren't from America, who were doing cleaning services. This is about to get a little more on the graphic side. He His killing that really kind of got him in the most high water would have been the murders of Yolanda Gutierrez and her 10-year-old daughter, Jessica. Um, he he these were The woman was the cleaning, and the little girl was just really just there to help out. And Runge took this as his time to bind both girls, sexually assault and slit their throats, and murder both of these young ladies. Um, yeah, I mean, this was, like I said, is terrible as you can get, murdering a child. This ultimately, too, would be the one case that really kind of put Runge in a position where he was in no return. And once they finally were able to figure out that Runge also had an MO, where what he was doing was he was going to the city of Chicago, acting like he was looking for real estate as a way to lure female real estate agents, and doing the same exact thing. He would rape, torture, and murder his victims. He luckily, just through some evidence gathered in the Gutierrez and Munoz case, they got enough evidence to actually bring him in. Now, with all that said, what exactly happened to the Pasanbegovic girls? They they were linked. They said that they were picked up by a girl, and this is really the last anyone had known what happened. However, as Runge would refuse to talk, his wife first asked for immunity. upon getting that immunity, just completely opened up. And she said that she picked the two girls up at their house, drove them to their home in Glendale Heights, Illinois, and it was here where Runge just went on his rampage. He believed the first one that he assaulted was Amila. If I remember correctly, he strangled her. He left her. He essentially strangled her and tied her up, left her in the house. He chased down Zanetta, the brunette, and grabbed her as she ran from the house, slammed her head on the front, the concrete in front of the house, where he then dragged her back up the stairs, threw her in a bathtub, let it fill up with water, and drowned her. Now, Amila, to the right, he went on to sexually assault her and then strangle her. After both victims were then dead, he continued to dismember both bodies and dispose of them in trash bins throughout the Chicagoland, throughout that suburban area. So, with that said, since 1995, neither of these ladies' bodies were ever found. To this day, they're still listed as missing persons. Now, with all this evidence, with his wife essentially opening up and just telling the police what they needed to know, everything that Paul Runge had done from 1995 to 1996, to the 8 known victims of his that he had, he served trial and was essentially found guilty and sentenced him to the death penalty. However, like I said, when Governor Ryan essentially commuted the death penalty on all these guys, one of the men who got the death penalty lifted on them was Paul Runge. So he still would be spending the rest of his life behind bars for the murders of Yolanda Gutierrez, Jessica Muniz, and Stacy Frobel. So with that said, I do want to say a quick moment of silence just for Yolanda Gutierrez, Jessica Muniz, Stacy Frobel, Zanita and Amila Pasanbegovic, Dorada Zwiebak, and Kazimira Peruch. These are his known victims. Yeah, I feel that so many of these videos, we get carried away in the graphic nature of the crime and what these guys did. But the one thing that we forget is that parents no longer have their daughters. Children no longer have their mothers. And if this monster who we are going to take the death penalty from is still going to spend the rest of his life in prison, the very least that we can do is if this guy gets any notoriety, it should be for the brutality of what he did, for the viciousness of what he did. It should never be celebrated, and it should just be notified that regardless of whether this person is a smooth talker, this person comes off as someone you can trust, that you really keep your eyes open and realize that these people can be threats regardless. So definitely, like I said, I wanted to say my condolences to those victims. And Paul Runge may not be 6 feet under, but he's behind bars where he's not going to be able to hurt anyone else. Um, if you enjoyed my content, please throw me a like, give me a subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for even more. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.